My name's Iain Sallis. I'm a trichologist. So I'm a hair loss and scalp care expert, I suppose you can call me. I've been around for about 23 years. Got 8 clinics up and down the country. Google me. And I'm here today to talk to you about rosemary oil and hair loss. So the reason why I'm talking about that is because it gains a lot of traction with my patients. And if they see this before they come see me, we can not waste the time in talking about rosemary oil and hair growth in the clinics. So there is a growing interest in natural products for remedying hair loss. And that has a big fundamental flaw to start with, because hair loss just isn't one thing. Hair loss is always caused by a mechanism, whether that mechanism is a genetic predisposition or whether it is a low iron level or a thyroid disorder or a shock that you've experienced or an autoimmune problem. There is something which causes hair loss. So it's a secondary effect. So using something blindly to remedy that secondary effect, you're already at a disadvantage. There is lots of information on Instagram and TikTok about rosemary oil. Just about everything is rubbish. And I don't like people getting taken advantage of who are sensitive to remedies. You're in a position, my patients are in a position where they are very sensitive to products and being sold products for no good reason. So this is the reason why I'm trying to explain some of this now. It all boils down to a 2015 study that puts rosemary oil against minoxidil at 2% in men, and there was 100 people on the study, and the conclusion that rosemary oil was effective as minoxidil 2% for androgenetic alopecia in men, and the duration of it was 6 months. So we can see that this is one of the pictures from the report, from the study. So the conclusion was that it appeared to be a safe, non-prescription alternative for androgenetic alopecia, and this study merits further investigation. So that's an important point. The person who looked at this went, oh, look, here's something that I didn't expect. It needs to be looked at closer. What he didn't do is go, I found a cure for hair loss which is not medically based. You can just put rosemary oil on your scalp and it'll grow hair. As you can see, the comparative photographs, there's hardly anything in it, I think. So you're not going to grow back hair amazingly by just using rosemary oil, even if you are using it for the right purposes, which in this case, you're a male, you have been using 2% minoxidil, you want to move on to something else, which is just about the same comparative. I don't know why you do that, apart from if you was having side effects, like an irritable scalp. But one of the side effects of rosemary oil was an irritable scalp. So even then, you wouldn't be looking at just moving over for the sake of it. So the theory is that rosemary oil is high in carcinoic acid. Carcinoic acid is a potent antioxidant. So antioxidants are things that will help your cellular activity become a little bit better, because it prevents the degradation of your cellular activity. So free radicals which are on the scalp, and those can be created by sunlight or smoking or poor diets. These types of things will downgrade all cellular activity in the body, including your hair follicles. So you put something on the scalp, and then that tends to alleviate that problem and helps the cells create more cells quicker. It has anti-inflammatory properties, and inflammation may be a overlooked issue component in androgenetic alopecia. So male pattern hair loss, female pattern hair loss, there is a inflammatory effect, even though it's minute, and it can help with that. And it can also help with microcirculation. And we know that minoxidil works at least in part by increasing the microcellular circulation of blood to the follicles, to the hair, and that's why it helps. One of the reasons why it helps. So the pros for using rosemary oil is that there isn't side effects. So that's good. Or there's very few side effects. So some people did report that an irritable scalp, but that's not too much of a problem. It's usually inexpensive. If someone's touting the best rosemary oil at something like £100 a bowl, that is definitely a con. But usually rosemary oil is uh, between £7 and £15 for 100 ml. And the research paper said that it is comparable to 2% minoxidil in men. So the science is there. And when I speak to colleagues about this, we can sort of agree that it's interesting, that there is something about it which warrants further investigation. But that's all we sort of come to a conclusion on. So the cons, it's all this stuff that you've seen on the internet, all the people that you've been saying, I've been using rosemary oil and it's worked for me. It's just from the back of one paper. So there isn't a huge amount of research to say what rosemary oil does. The before and after photographs are comparable, but they don't show significant growth. The guys didn't grow back hair massively. So when you're using rosemary oil, what are you using it for? Are you just using it just so you can keep the hair that you've got and it's a healthy way of doing something for your scalp? And hair growth isn't the key to that. It's more to do with, well, I just want to keep what we've got and I just want to be healthy. I want my hair to grow healthier. That's a pretty good reason to use rosemary oil. But are you suffering from hair loss and you're trying to find a way of growing hair density back? If so, rosemary oil really isn't the thing for you. It was a male-only trial, so we don't know what the effect on female hair loss is. And I know that's a moot point because people go, well, it's hair's hair. Well, sometimes. And I don't think that there was any set amount or type or purity. The carrier wasn't viewed. So there is lots of variables that was in this paper that we don't know very much about. And we can't carry that over to the product that people are using. So maybe the rosemary oil that this research paper used, they used a almond oil carrier or a sunflower oil carrier, and that was the key. And what you're using is something which is something like a Brazil nut carrier or something like that. So you've got to sort of figure out exactly what those and then mimic it. And we can't do that. So we don't know very much about the subtle differences. Did these people use, I think they used about 2 mil per day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, 1 mil in the morning, 1 mil in the evening. But are you using it in the same way? And also the time frame is 6 months. Nothing much happens in 6 months, in all honesty, with any treatment that you see. If there is a hair loss product that says you can see differences in 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, no, you just can't. Hair just doesn't grow that fast. So 6 months was sort of on the cusp of probably seeing whether minoxidil edged forward or the rosemary oil edged forward. We don't know. So our conclusion is that I don't recommend rosemary oil for hair loss, genetic or otherwise. There is much better therapies for hair loss in general. Now, the first thing that I would say to somebody is we need to know what your problem is before we start talking about the therapy. But if you're a person that just is trying to do something and you're looking along the supermarket aisle and you come across rosemary oil, or you're looking at Google and you're seeing rosemary oil, think twice, because you're going to spend about, let's say it's 20 quid a bottle. 4 of those, that's 100 quid. That's nearly a consultation with somebody like myself who will be able to tell you what the problem is, and then you can get proper treatment. So, people do tend to sort of reach for a bottle first. But why would you do that even that way? Because there is minoxidil available. And minoxidil is the tried and tested therapy. It was the benchmark against rosemary oil. And nobody's going, hey, 2% minoxidil was comparable to rosemary oil. Nobody's switched it round. And that's the reason why. It's because minoxidil does have quite a bad rap, undeservedly. But there is the therapy is those types of therapies are overlooked because they are medical, and that does sort of make people uncomfortable. We are naturally medically averse, and so we should be. But using medical therapies or clinical therapies in the right way is supremely better than just reaching for something and hoping it works. And it's not exciting to talk about. I mean, here's me talking about stuff like this, and I go, hey, minoxidil's great. And you're going to go, really? Isn't there anything else? And you're going to sort of scroll down going, what's better than minoxidil? What can I use apart from minoxidil? And it's always that avoidance of what our classes a go-to medication. You can use it as an adjunct therapy, and there's nothing for you to stop doing that. So if you are using minoxidil, or you are using finasteride, or you are suffering from a health problem and you have a therapy, then using rosemary oil on top of those therapies is possibly a good idea. You can really say, but it's not going to hurt. But how much it would help is very questionable. So I hope that's helped. This is on the YouTube channel. The reason why I'm doing YouTube is because I'm bored with Instagram and Facebook. You can't have these conversations over a long period of time. So please, this is important. So like, subscribe, comment. I always sort of try and caveat the comment bit with science is a rolling conversation. There is no definitive answers. All I'm giving you is my best advice. So if you disagree, great, but please cite the scientific reference paper that shows that you think that I'm wrong. Citing a blog, your favorite Instagram post, TikToker, or your mum saying that these things do work, they'll just be ignored. But thank you very much. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.